The 7 voices echoed through the crystal chamber, as beings of pure energy floated around a table made of compressed starlight. Each member of the Galactic High Council represented civilizations that had conquered worlds, bent physics to their will, and ruled star systems for thousands of years. Today they discussed a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. High Counselor Vex of the Ethereal Collective pulsed with golden light as he spoke. The third planet of Sol system shows signs of primitive life. Our scouts report carbon-based creatures that still fight among themselves with metal projectiles. The representative of the Hive Mind Confederation, a mass of writhing tentacles connected to a single consciousness, responded with clicking sounds. Individual minds scattered across their world. No unity, no shared purpose. They poison their own atmosphere while waging wars over invisible lines on dirt. Tech Lord Prime, half machine and half organic matter, processed data streams directly into his cybernetic brain. Their computational abilities are laughable. They used silicon chips when we mastered quantum consciousness millennia ago. Their fastest vessels barely escaped their own gravity well. From the Crystal Empire came a voice like ringing bells. Carbon creatures are inherently flawed. Our silicon-based perfection has lasted 10,000 years while they kill each other over resources we could synthesize in moments. The Void Swimmer Delegate, a creature that existed partially in dark matter, phased in and out of visible spectrum as it communicated. They cannot even perceive 90% of their universe. Blind to dark matter, deaf to gravitational waves, stumbling through space like insects. Time Walker Representative Kronos appeared as a shifting figure, sometimes young, sometimes ancient, existing in multiple moments simultaneously. I have observed their timeline. Wars, famines, plagues, extinctions. They repeat the same mistakes across centuries. No learning, no growth, no wisdom. Finally, the Starforge dynasty's voice boomed from a being of living plasma. We reshape suns as they struggle to harness wind and water. We build worlds while they cannot even clean their own. They are an insult to intelligence itself. High Counselor Vex dimmed slightly as he accessed the Council's database. Their transmissions show constant conflict. Nuclear weapons pointed at their own cities. Chemical waste in their oceans. Political systems that change every few rotations of their planet around their star. The Hive Mind Confederation's tentacles writhed with what might have been amusement. Individual consciousness creates chaos. They cannot coordinate beyond small groups. Watch their military exercises, crude formations that any child mind could defeat. Tech Lord Prime displayed holographic battle simulations. Their weapons rely on chemical explosions and kinetic force. Against our energy shields and quantum disruptors, they might as well throw rocks. Our automated defense systems could process their entire military in solar minutes. The Crystal Empire's representative resonated with harmonic frequencies. Their bodies are fragile water sacs. Temperature changes incapacitate them. Radiation kills them. They require constant feeding and rest. Evolution clearly failed with this species. The Void Swimmer phased through solid matter as it spoke. They have barely left their home system. One moon landing, a few metal objects orbiting their planet. We have colonies in 17 galaxies while they debate whether life exists elsewhere. Kronos shifted through time streams, observing human history and fast forward. I see their future if left alone. More wars, more waste. Eventual extinction within their own star's lifetime. They will never achieve stellar civilization. The Starforge dynasty's plasma form flared brighter, yet their world contains valuable resources. Rare minerals, biological compounds, and sufficient energy to power our expansion projects. Why waste time watching them destroy themselves? High Counselor Vex pulsed thoughtfully. The Ethics Committee requires we classify them as intelligent life, despite evidence to the contrary. Intervention protocols demand we evaluate their potential before resource extraction. Potential? The Hive Mind Confederation's laughter was like breaking glass. They worship invisible beings in the sky, fight wars over ancient books, and believe their individual thoughts matter. There is no potential, only primitive superstition. Tech Lord Prime ran probability calculations at light speed. Mathematical certainty of 99.7% victory with minimal force deployment. Their resistance capabilities register as statistically insignificant. Resource extraction can begin immediately following standard pacification procedures. The Crystal Empire's harmony grew stronger. Perfect crystals require perfect order. These chaos bringers would contaminate any attempt at civilized development. Better to harvest their world's materials and begin proper construction. The Void Swimmer considered dimensional possibilities. Their space is cluttered with debris and radio noise. Cleanup operations will be necessary regardless. Better to start fresh than attempt integration with such disorder. Kronos viewed multiple timeline possibilities. In every future where we delay, they only create more problems. Environmental damage, population explosions, technological stagnation. Action now prevents greater waste later. The Starforged dynasty's heat signature intensified. Then we are decided. Standard harvesting operation with minimal force allocation. Their resistance will crumble within days of first contact. High Counselor Vex called for the formal vote. All those in favor of immediate resource extraction from Sol 3, with pacification of indigenous population as necessary. 7 lights flickered in sequence around the chamber. 7 voices spoke as one. Motion carried unanimously. The ethereal collective began calculating energy requirements for the operation. The Hive Mind Confederation allocated worker drones for planetary processing. Techlord Prime designed automated conquest protocols. The Crystal Empire prepared purification systems for proper world shaping. The Void Swimmer opened dark matter conduits for rapid deployment. Kronos selected the optimal timeline for minimal resistance. The Starforged dynasty powered up mobile construction platforms. High Counselor Vex summarized the operation parameters. Deployment in 3 standard cycles. Scout fleet first, followed by harvesting vessels. Expected completion within 1 local year of their planet's rotation. As the council members departed to their respective domains, none noticed the small monitoring probe that had recorded their entire session. The device belonged to a species they had never encountered before human military intelligence. In a bunker deep beneath the Colorado mountains, analysts would soon learn that Earth had 7 months to prepare for the arrival of beings who saw humans as nothing more than insects to be swept aside. The Council's greatest mistake was not their arrogance, though that would prove costly. Their greatest mistake was believing that a species which had survived ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, and countless wars against each other would simply roll over when faced with yet another extinction threat. They were about to learn that humans had a very simple response to impossible odds. They got angry, they got creative, and they never, ever gave up. 3 enormous alien vessels dropped out of hyperspace near Jupiter, their arrival sending ripples through the solar system's gravitational field. The ships gleamed with impossible geometries, surfaces that bent light around them, and hull materials that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Each vessel stretched over 50 kilometers in length, bristling with weapon ports that hummed with contained energy. Admiral Susan Garcia stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching the readings pour in from every sensor array humanity possessed. The numbers were terrifying. These ships radiated more power than Earth's entire electrical grid. Their weapons could probably crack continents. Their technology was so far beyond human understanding that the science teams had given up trying to analyze it. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," reported Lieutenant Dave Smith from the communications station. "It's some kind of universal translation matrix." "They want to talk," Garcia nodded grimly. "Put it through." The voice that filled the command center was cold, mechanical, and utterly without emotion. "Primitive species of Sol 3. You will cease all military activities and prepare for pacification procedures. Your resistance is calculated as statistically meaningless. Compliance will reduce unnecessary terminations." Garcia grabbed the microphone. "This is Admiral Garcia of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered our solar system without permission. State your intentions or withdraw immediately." A sound that might have been laughter echoed from the speakers. "Your defense force possesses no capability to enforce such demands. Our advanced scouts have analyzed your technological level. You have progressed barely beyond chemical propulsion and nuclear fission. We have mastered energy itself." "Then you know we have nothing you could possibly want," Garcia replied. "Leave us alone and nobody has to get hurt. Your world contains resources required for galactic expansion projects. Your species will be relocated to preserve galactic efficiency. This communication is merely a courtesy extended to all intelligent species before harvesting begins." Garcia felt her blood turn to ice. "Harvesting? You're talking about our home, our families, our entire civilization. Sentimentality is inefficient. Your species will adapt or be processed. Compliance begins now." The transmission ended with a burst of static. Garcia turned to her staff, seeing her own determination reflected in their faces. Signal all defense stations. Active all orbital platforms. Contact every nation on Earth. Tell them the Council's worst nightmare just became reality. Ma'am, what nightmare? Asked Smith. An enemy that doesn't hate us, Garcia said quietly. They see us as nothing more than bacteria to be cleared away. The first attack came 12 hours later. The alien ships moved with perfect precision, their formation a mathematical masterpiece of coordinated death. Energy beams lanced out toward Earth's orbital defenses, each shot calculated for maximum efficiency with minimal power expenditure. They expected the battle to last perhaps 30 minutes. They had not counted on human stubbornness. Captain Rosa Martinez commanded the orbital platform, Freedom's Edge, when the aliens opened fire. The energy beam meant to vaporize her station instead struck her emergency shields, the crude electromagnetic barriers designed by Dr. Yuki Tanaka to deflect solar radiation. The beam scattered, its perfect coherence disrupted by Earth's own magnetic field. All stations, this is Freedom's Edge, Martinez broadcast. Their weapons can be scattered by EM fields. Adjust your defensive grids and return fire. The human response was immediate and chaotic. Missiles launched from every platform, each one following a different trajectory, painted with different radar signatures, programmed with different attack patterns. The aliens had prepared for coordinated assault, mathematical precision, logical strategy. Instead, they faced dozens of individual commanders making split-second decisions based on intuition, desperation, and pure human bloody-mindedness. Some missiles attacked head-on. Others curved around Jupiter's moons. A few actually used gravitational slingshots to attack from behind. None of them followed any pattern the alien computers could predict. Engineer Paul Chen watched his mining platform's ore extractors tear into the hull of an alien scout ship. The aliens had ignored the mining vessels, calculating them as non-military threats. They had not calculated that humans could turn mining equipment into weapons. In about 15 minutes, Dr. Lisa Wang's research station launched a spread of atmospheric probes directly into an alien ship's engine intake. The probes were meant to study gas giant atmospheres, but they worked just fine for jamming alien propulsion systems. The ship began spinning out of control, its perfect flight pattern disrupted by scientific instruments never designed for combat. Commander Bob Lee's defensive platform had lost all its missiles in the first exchange, so he did something that broke every military regulation ever written. He aimed his entire station at the nearest alien vessel and hit the engines. The aliens watched in complete confusion as Lee's platform, trailing atmosphere and debris, slammed into their ship's shields at several thousand kilometers per hour. The impact shouldn't have done anything. Human kinetic weapons were primitive, their materials crude, their force negligible against alien defenses. But Lee's platform carried 17 fusion reactors, 3 antimatter research pods, and Dr. Sarah Kim's experimental gravitational wave generator. When that collection of barely contained energy hit alien shields designed for elegant energy weapons, the result was not elegant at all. The explosion lit up the solar system. The alien ship's shields collapsed, its hull cracked, and its crew experienced something they had never felt before. Fear. Impossible, transmitted the alien commander. Chemical explosives cannot penetrate quantum barriers. Their material science is millennia behind our capabilities. But the humans weren't using their material science. They were using desperation, creativity, and the simple fact that when you threaten everything a human loves, they stop following the rules. Dr. Chen's mining laser, focused through a crystal meant for communications, burned through alien hull material like it was paper. Martinez's electromagnetic shields, overloaded beyond all safety limits, created an energy pulse that fried alien sensors. Wang's atmospheric probes, filled with industrial acid instead of scientific instruments, ate through alien systems from the inside. The battle that was supposed to last 30 minutes stretched into 6 hours. The aliens, with their perfect ships and flawless tactics, found themselves retreating, not because they were outgunned, but because they couldn't predict what the humans would do next. Every time they adapted to one attack, the humans switched to something completely different. "Sir," reported the alien tactical officer, "their resistance patterns show no logical structure. They sacrifice valuable resources for minimal tactical advantage. They use industrial equipment as weapons. They attack in ways that should result in their own destruction." The alien commander studied the tactical display. 3 human vessels had rammed his ships. 7 more had used weapons that didn't exist in their databases. 2 mining platforms were currently firing ore extractors at his fleet, and somehow it was working. "Withdraw to safe distance," the commander ordered. "We need additional data before proceeding." As the alien ships pulled back beyond the outer planets, Admiral Garcia allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. They had hurt the aliens, forced them to retreat, bought Earth precious time. But she knew this was just the beginning. In the debris field around Jupiter, rescue teams pulled survivors from shattered platforms. Every story was the same. Regular people, ordinary humans who had faced impossible odds and fought anyway. They had lost friends, lost ships, lost battles. But they had proven something important. Humanity would not go quietly into extinction. They would make the aliens work for every meter, every city, every life, and somewhere in that defiance, in that refusal to accept the inevitable, lay the seed of something the Galactic High Council had never encountered before. Human beings who had nothing left to lose. The crystal chamber filled with uncomfortable silence as battle recordings played across holographic displays. Frame by frame, the 7 council members watched their supposedly invincible scouts retreating from a collection of primitive orbital platforms and converted mining equipment. The data made no sense. The humans had no advanced weapons, no energy shields, no faster-than-light communication. Yet somehow they had forced a tactical withdrawal. Tech Lord Prime processed the combat data for the 100th time, his cybernetic brain running calculations at quantum speeds. Error rates in predictive algorithms exceed acceptable parameters. Human tactical responses fall outside all known military doctrine. High Counselor Vex of the Ethereal Collective pulsed with agitated orange light. "Explain how chemical explosives penetrated quantum barriers." "Our shields have stopped stellar bombardments. The explosions were not the primary damage vector," Prime replied, displaying technical readouts. "Observe this sequence. The human platform impacts our shields at 3,247 meters per second. Kinetic energy, negligible. But notice the cargo manifest. The recording zoomed in on the moments before impact. 17 fusion reactors in emergency overload. 3 antimatter containment pods compromised by kinetic shock. 1 experimental gravitational device that our databases cannot identify. The hive mind confederation's massive tentacles writhed with agitation. Suicide attacks showed desperation, not tactical superiority. They traded 17 platforms for minor hull damage to 1 scout vessel. Minor damage? The Crystal Empire's harmonious voice cracked with dissonance. Review the casualty reports. 43 crew members lost consciousness from neural feedback. The ship's crystalline matrix required complete reconstruction. This is not minor damage. Kronos, the Time Walker representative, flickered between temporal states as he spoke. "I have analyzed the decision trees leading to their actions. No logical species would make such trades. The mathematical inefficiency is staggering." The void swimmer phased in and out of visible spectrum, its form agitated by dimensional turbulence. Perhaps logic is not their primary decision-making process. Their neural patterns show emotional responses that override survival instincts. Starforged Dynasty's plasma form flared with contained fusion fire. Emotions are weakness. Fear, anger, desperation, these compromise tactical judgment. Yet somehow their compromised judgment defeated our tactical computers. Tech Lord Prime displayed new data streams. Additional anomalies detected. Human industrial platforms converted to weapons configurations in 14.7 minutes. Our intelligence estimated 72 hours minimum for such modifications. "How is such speed possible?" asked High Counselor Vex. "Unknown. Their manufacturing processes should not permit rapid reconfiguration. Yet observation confirms the timeline. Mining lasers became focused beam weapons. Ore extractors became kinetic projectiles. Atmospheric processors became chemical warfare dispensers. The Hive Mind Confederation processed thousands of thoughts simultaneously. Individual creativity accelerated by crisis conditions. When unified consciousness faces problems, solutions follow predictable pathways. Individual minds generate random, unplanned responses. The Crystal Empire resonated with frustrated frequencies. Randomness should not provide tactical advantage. Chaos cannot defeat order. Yet it has, Kronos observed, viewing the battle from multiple time streams. In 17 different timeline branches, our scouts retreat. Only in timelines where humans are eliminated before engaging do we achieve victory. The Void Swimmer shifted through dark matter dimensions. Perhaps we underestimated their technological capabilities. Hidden weapons, concealed defenses, advanced systems disguised as primitive equipment. Tech Lord Prime accessed the databases of captured human prisoners. Negative. Interrogation of specimens confirms primitive technology levels. Observe Subject 147, designation Brooks. A holographic display showed engineer Tom Brooks sitting in an alien holding cell, his Earth Defense Force uniform torn, but his expression defiant. The recording of his interrogation began to play. "State your weapons manufacturing capabilities," demanded the alien interrogator's translated voice. Brooks looked up at the ceiling. "You want to know about our weapons? I used to build bridges. Jerry over there fixed refrigerators. Anna designed children's toys. When you showed up, we took bridge cables and made them into magnetic accelerators. Jerry turned cooling systems into cryo-weapons. Anna weaponized toy rockets. This information is classified military technology." "Military technology?" Brooks laughed, the sound echoing strangely in the alien cell. "Lady, we don't have military technology. We have human ingenuity. We have duct tape, spare parts, and people who refuse to die quietly." The interrogation recording continued as Brooks was joined by Dr. Rachel Martinez, a xenobiologist who had been studying Earth's deep ocean life when the invasion began. Her capture occurred when she used bioluminescent organisms to blind alien sensors. "Explain your biological warfare capabilities," the interrogator demanded. Martinez shrugged. "I study sea creatures. When your scouts landed in the Pacific, I released modified jellyfish that produce electromagnetic pulses. Took me about 6 hours to teach them to recognize alien technology as threats. You created biological weapons in 6 hours? I created biological solutions in 6 hours. There's a difference. The jellyfish were already there. I just asked them nicely to help save their planet." The council watched in growing unease as more interrogation recordings played. Child psychologist Dr. Amy Carter, captured while using psychological warfare techniques to cause alien soldiers to question their orders. Retired teacher Bill Ryan, who had organized civilian resistance using tactics learned from teaching middle school students. Artist Maria Gonzalez, who created camouflage patterns that confused alien visual sensors. Each human told the same story. They were not military specialists. They were ordinary people who had been pushed too far and had pushed back with everything they could find. The Hive Mind Confederation's thoughts churned with confusion. Their responses indicate no central command structure, no unified strategy, no coordination beyond local groups. Then how did they coordinate the defense? Asked the Crystal Empire. They didn't coordinate, Kronos realized, viewing the battle from a temporal perspective. Each group acted independently, yet their actions supported each other without communication. Impossible but observable. High Counselor Vex dimmed as he processed this information. Perhaps we should allocate additional resources to the operation. Tech Lord Prime's cybernetic systems hummed with calculation. Mathematical models suggest 97.3% probability of success with current force allocation. Adding additional resources reduces efficiency ratios. Your mathematical models failed to predict their resistance, the Starforge dynasty pointed out, its plasma form crackling with energy. Perhaps mathematics are insufficient for this species. The Void Swimmer phased through multiple dimensions as it considered possibilities. Or perhaps this species operates by rules we do not understand. Rules that make our advantages irrelevant. The Crystal Empire's harmonic resonance grew troubled. If they possess unknown capabilities, standard harvesting procedures may require modification. Modification? The Hive Mind Confederation's collective consciousness recoiled at the concept. Our procedures have succeeded on 10,000 worlds. These primitives cannot require protocol changes. Yet they have forced tactical retreat on our scouts, Kronos observed. Perhaps primitive is the incorrect classification. High Counselor Vex called for order as the debate grew heated. We will deploy additional scout forces for complete intelligence gathering. Full analysis of human capabilities before main harvest fleet deployment. The vote was unanimous, but for the first time in Council history, the unanimity felt forced. Each member wondered privately if they had missed something crucial about these strange bipedal creatures, who turned toys into weapons and refused to surrender even when facing impossible odds in the depths of space. Monitoring probes recorded the Council's growing concern. In hidden bunkers across Earth, human intelligence analysts smiled grimly as they processed the intercepted transmissions. The aliens were learning that Earth's greatest export was not resources or technology, but something far more dangerous: the human capacity to adapt, improvise, and overcome any challenge through sheer bloody-minded determination. The Council had expected easy prey. Instead, they had awakened something that would teach them the most important lesson in galactic history. Never underestimate a species that has spent its entire existence fighting for survival. 6 months after first contact, the factory floors of Detroit hummed with activity that would have seemed impossible just a year earlier. Assembly lines that once produced automobiles now churned out combat mechs designed by video game programmers and built with parts from dishwashers and lawnmowers. The transformation was total, immediate, and utterly human in its chaotic efficiency. Dr. Raj Singh wiped grease from his hands as he stepped back from his latest creation. The device looked like nothing the aliens had ever seen because it was built from principles they had never considered. Salvaged alien technology formed the core, but surrounding it was a shell of Earth materials welded together by someone who had learned alien physics by taking apart captured scout ships with a blowtorch and determination. "Will it work?" asked General Patricia Wells, watching Singh's team connect the final power cables. Singh grinned, his smile showing the confidence of someone who had reverse-engineered faster-than-light communication, using parts from a broken television and an alien prisoner's lunch tray. "It will work because it has to work. That's how human technology functions." Across the continent, similar scenes played out in hidden laboratories and converted basements. Artist Luna Reeves had become Earth's most effective psychological warfare specialist, after discovering that her abstract paintings caused severe disorientation in alien visual processing systems. She worked now with a team of musicians, poets, and dancers to create cultural weapons that no military academy had ever imagined. "The aliens think in mathematical patterns," Luna explained to her team as they prepared another broadcast. "Their minds process harmony, order, logical progression, so we hit them with jazz, abstract art, and poetry that doesn't rhyme. We make their brains hurt by being completely, brilliantly human." The war had revealed something neither side expected. Humanity's greatest weapon was not advanced technology or military strategy. It was their ability to unite completely while maintaining individual creativity. For the first time in human history, every nation, every culture, every person on Earth shared a single goal: survival. Commander Lisa Ross crouched in the ruins of what had once been downtown Chicago, watching alien troops advance with perfect formation through the streets. The Crystal Empire forces moved like clockwork, each soldier positioned for optimal fire support, their crystalline bodies reflecting tactical data to each other in precise light patterns. Ross smiled and activated her communicator. "Team 7, they're coming through the art district. Time for the Pablo special." 3 blocks away, former museum curator Pablo Santos triggered the trap he had spent weeks preparing. Holographic projectors, borrowed from a closed theme park and modified with alien light-bending technology, filled the street with images that violated every law of physics. Impossible geometries, colors that existed outside visible spectrum, and shapes that seemed to fold space around themselves. The alien formation shattered instantly. Their perfect tactical coordination depended on shared visual processing, and suddenly they couldn't trust what they were seeing. Crystal soldiers stumbled into walls that weren't there, fired at enemies that existed only in their enhanced perception, and broke ranks as their enhanced senses became liabilities. "Now," Ross commanded. The counterattack came from every direction at once. Retired office workers with improvised weapons, former teachers using playground tactics to outmaneuver alien soldiers, children who had learned to hack alien communication systems using skills learned from video games. The battle was chaos, but it was human chaos, and that made all the difference. Admiral Mike Chen stood on the bridge of humanity's first faster-than-light vessel, watching the navigation display with satisfaction. The ship was ugly, cobbled together from parts that should never work together, held together by hope and electromagnetic tape. But it flew faster than anything in the alien fleet, and that was all that mattered. "Sir, we're approaching the Void Swimmer facility," reported navigator Sarah Kim, a former commercial pilot who had learned interstellar navigation by studying captured alien star charts. "Their dark matter extraction operation is directly ahead." Chen nodded. "Begin attack run. Remember, people, we're not here to destroy their facility. We're here to steal it." The plan was insane by any military standard. Instead of trying to match alien firepower, the human fleet would capture intact alien installations and turn them against their creators. It required precise timing, impossible coordination, and the kind of desperate courage that only humans seem to possess. Engineer Dave Thompson's boarding team breached the alien facility through its waste disposal system. Because humans were the only species that would think of using garbage chutes as invasion routes. Once inside, they didn't try to understand alien technology. They simply rewired everything until it did what they wanted instead of what it was designed to do. Dark matter containment field redirected, Thompson reported, his voice crackling over the communication system. Instead of harvesting dark matter, this thing is now broadcasting human music on dark matter frequencies across 17 star systems. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. Alien soldiers who had never experienced human emotion suddenly found themselves listening to blues music that existed partially outside normal space-time. The music carried with it the full weight of human experience, sadness, joy, hope, determination, and the unbreakable will to survive. Dr. Amanda Foster worked in what had once been a university physics laboratory, surrounded by equations that described impossible things. Her breakthrough had come when she realized that alien physics was based on perfection, mathematical elegance, and theoretical beauty. Human physics was based on making things work regardless of how ugly the solution might be. The quantum tunneling effect stabilizes when you introduce random variables, she explained to her team of graduate students in garage mechanics. Alien technology tries to eliminate chaos. Our technology runs on chaos, so we build chaos into their quantum systems. The result was weapons that shouldn't exist according to galactic science, human-alien hybrid technology that worked by violating the fundamental assumptions that alien science was built on. Chaos drives that traveled faster than light by refusing to acknowledge the speed limit. Probability weapons that fired bullets that existed in multiple locations simultaneously until they hit something. Back on Earth, the transformation continued. Every factory, every laboratory, every garage had become a weapon of war. But more importantly, every human had become something the aliens had never encountered. An individual willing to sacrifice everything for strangers they had never met. Young genius Alex Rivera, barely 16 years old, had created a communication network that connected every human resistance cell across the planet, using principles learned from studying ant colonies and alien quantum entanglement. The network allowed perfect coordination without central command, individual initiative without losing group effectiveness. How are they doing this? Demanded the alien field commander, studying tactical reports that made no sense. They have no unified command structure, no central authority, no coordination protocols, yet they act with perfect unity. The answer was simple, though the aliens would never understand it. Humanity had found something worth fighting for that transcended individual survival, the future of their species, their world, their dreams of touching the stars. Every human had become a soldier, every soldier had become a hero, and every hero was willing to die for people they would never meet. The war was no longer about defending Earth. It had become something far more dangerous for the Galactic High Council. Proof that their assumptions about intelligence, civilization, and power were completely wrong. Humanity was writing new rules for galactic warfare, and those rules said that chaos could defeat order, that individuals could outthink collective consciousness, and that the will to survive could overcome any technological advantage. The Council had expected to harvest a primitive world. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant that was about to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Never underestimate a species that refuses to accept defeat, especially when that species has learned how to turn their greatest weakness, their chaotic individuality, into their most devastating weapon. The alarm systems aboard the Starforge Dynasty's stellar construction platform had been silent for 3,000 years. No species in galactic history had ever dared attack a star-building facility, protected as it was by forces that could ignite gas giants and gravitational weapons that could crack moons. The alarm's sudden activation sent shockwaves through the crew of living plasma beings who had never experienced fear. Platform Commander Helios manifested in the control center, his plasma form crackling with confused energy. Report status of all defensive systems. Sir, we're detecting impossible readings, reported the tactical officer, her voice wavering with uncertainty. 17 human vessels approaching at faster-than-light velocities that exceed our own capabilities. Impossible. Human technology cannot achieve such speeds. The sensor readings are confirmed, sir. But there's more. The human ships are not using any known form of faster-than-light travel. They appear to be using our own stellar manipulation technology against us. Helios expanded his consciousness to interface directly with the platform's sensors. What he saw violated every law of physics he understood. The human ships were riding gravitational waves created by the platform's own star-forging equipment, using the artificial stellar matter as fuel for propulsion systems that had been built from salvaged alien technology and what appeared to be components from human household appliances. General Rebecca Thompson stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the alien platform grow larger on her tactical display. Her ship was a patchwork of human engineering and captured alien technology, held together by determination and the kind of creative problem-solving that only desperation could inspire. "Ma'am, we're picking up their communications," reported Lieutenant Carlos Martinez. "They're calling for reinforcements from 7 star systems." Thompson smiled grimly. "Too late for that. Communications Officer Riley, signal the rest of the fleet. Begin Operation Payback." The human attack broke every rule of space warfare. Instead of approaching in formation, the human ships scattered in seemingly random directions. Some attacked the platform's defensive systems head-on. Others flew directly into the artificial star's corona, using the stellar radiation to mask their approach. A few actually landed on the platform's hull and began cutting through it with mining equipment. Captain Amy Foster commanded the boarding team that breached the platform through its matter intake ports, because humans were the only species that would consider using a star-feeding system as an entrance. Once inside, her team didn't try to understand the alien technology. They simply began rewiring everything according to human logic. "Stellar ignition chamber captured," Foster reported. "Dr. Park's team has the fusion controls redirected. Instead of building stars, this thing is now broadcasting Earth's radio signals across the galaxy." The psychological impact was immediate. Alien crews throughout the galaxy suddenly found themselves listening to human music, human voices, human laughter echoing through their communication systems. They heard children singing lullabies, adults arguing about sports, teenagers complaining about homework. They heard a species that remained joyful and creative even in the face of extinction. Platform Commander Helios tried to comprehend what was happening. "How are they controlling our systems?" "Our technology is quantum-locked against unauthorized access." "Sir," reported the security officer, "the humans aren't accessing our systems. They're rebuilding them. They've turned our stellar matter processors into communication arrays. They've converted our gravitational manipulators into weapons. They're not using our technology. They're making it into human technology." Light years away, the Void Swimmer Collective experienced something they had never felt before: panic. Their dark matter harvesting operations, scattered across 17 dimensions, were under simultaneous attack by human forces that shouldn't have been able to perceive dark matter, let alone weaponize it. Collective Node Prime phased through multiple dimensional states as it tried to process the impossible tactical situation. The humans had somehow learned to exist partially in dark matter space, using technology that combined alien dark matter manipulation with human quantum theories that violated several fundamental laws of physics. Commander Jack Wilson materialized inside the Void Swimmer facility, his form flickering between normal matter and dark matter states. The technology that allowed him to exist in both dimensions simultaneously was built from captured alien equipment and a microwave oven that Dr. Foster had modified with quantum entanglement principles. Learned from studying alien prisoners, matter containment fields are now under human control, Wilson reported, his voice echoing strangely across dimensional boundaries. Team 5 has turned their harvesting equipment into a weapon. Instead of collecting dark matter, we're now injecting it with human DNA patterns. The result was unprecedented in galactic history. Dark matter, the invisible substance that held galaxies together, suddenly carried within it the genetic memory of human survival instincts. Across 17 star systems, alien installations began experiencing equipment failures as their dark matter supplies developed what could only be described as a will to live. The Hive Mind Confederation watched their collective consciousness. Networks crash as human chaos infected their quantum communication. Systems. Dr. Sarah Chen's breakthrough had come when she realized that the hive mind's perfect unity was also their greatest weakness. By introducing random human thoughts into their network, she had given their collective consciousness something it had never experienced: doubt. Individual thought patterns detected in network nodes 47 through 89, reported the collective's diagnostic system. Consensus reality degrading, multiple personality emergence detected. For the first time in their species' history, members of the Hive Mind Confederation began thinking individual thoughts. Some wondered what it felt like to be alone. Others questioned whether collective consciousness was truly superior. A few even began to experience something the collective had no word for: loneliness. The tech lords' perfect cybernetic systems crashed when they encountered human computer viruses that operated on principles of creative chaos rather than logical progression. Teenage hacker Emma Rodriguez had written the code while sitting in her bedroom, using programming techniques learned from video games and a fundamental understanding that alien computer systems, like alien minds, couldn't handle true randomness. How can software code achieve impossible results? Demanded Tech Lord Prime as his quantum processors struggled to comprehend programs that worked by breaking their own rules. Because human code doesn't follow your logic, explained captured engineer Tom Blake during his interrogation. Your programs do what they're designed to do. Our programs do what we need them to do. There's a difference. The Time Walkers discovered that human temporal manipulation technology worked by refusing to acknowledge that time travel was impossible. Dr. Lisa Wang's team had built time displacement devices using alien temporal sensors and human determination to ignore paradoxes. The result was weapons that fired bullets backwards through time and shields that existed 5 minutes in the future. Kronos, viewing the battle from multiple timeline perspectives, watched in growing horror as human actions created temporal paradoxes that somehow resolved themselves through sheer stubbornness. They are violating causality itself, he reported to the council. Their weapons fire before they pull the triggers. Their ships arrive at destinations before they depart. It should be impossible. The crystal empires, perfect geometric formations, shattered when they encountered human architecture that followed no mathematical principles except whatever works. Former construction worker Mike Davis had designed fortifications that used alien crystal technology but followed building codes, learned from years of making structures that could survive earthquakes, hurricanes, and human teenagers. Their defensive structures have no logical pattern, reported the Crystal Empire's military analysis team. The angles are wrong. The materials are incompatible. The design violates structural engineering principles. Yet they remain standing under our bombardment. Back on Earth, the transformation was complete. Every human had become part of a war machine that operated on principles the galaxy had never seen. Individual creativity combined with species-wide unity. Chaos that somehow achieved perfect coordination. Technology that worked by breaking the rules that alien science was built on. President Maria Santos stood in the war room deep beneath Washington, D.C., watching status reports flow in from battlefields across the galaxy. The map showed human forces engaging alien installations on dozens of worlds, using strategies that violated every principle of military science. Ma'am, we're receiving surrender requests from 3 hive mind worlds, reported Admiral Garcia. The collective consciousness there has fragmented into individual minds. They're asking for asylum from their own species. Santos nodded, remembering the conversation she'd had with Dr. Foster about human nature. Grant the request. Anyone who wants freedom from collective consciousness is welcome to join the Human Alliance. The war had evolved beyond simple survival. Humanity was not just defending Earth. They were spreading across the galaxy like a virus of freedom, individuality, and creative chaos. Every world they touched began to question the old order. Every alien who encountered human ideas began to think forbidden thoughts. The Galactic High Council faced something they had never imagined, a revolution of consciousness spreading faster than their ability to contain it. Humans weren't just winning battles, they were winning converts. Aliens across the galaxy were learning that individual thought, creative chaos, and the refusal to accept impossible odds weren't weaknesses, but strengths. The hunters had become the hunted, but more than that, they had become something far more dangerous to the old galactic order. They had become willing students of human freedom. The Council's greatest fear was becoming reality. A galaxy where every being had the right to think individual thoughts, make personal choices, and refuse to accept that anything was impossible. Humanity's greatest victory was not military conquest, but something far more profound. They had taught the galaxy how to hope. The crystal chamber that had once been the symbol of galactic supremacy now bore scars that would never heal. Burn marks from human plasma weapons scored the walls. Cracks from kinetic impacts spiderwebbed across the floor. The table of compressed starlight flickered with unstable energy, damaged by weapons that shouldn't have been able to affect it. High Counselor Vex materialized in the center of the chamber, his golden energy form dim and wavering. Around him, the other council members appeared one by one, each showing signs of the war that had lasted 18 months and cost them everything they thought they knew about power, intelligence, and civilization. The Tech Lord Prime's cybernetic system sparked with unrepaired damage. His perfect technological integration had been shattered by human-computer viruses that operated on principles of creative chaos. Half his processors were dedicated to running antiviral programs that had to be rewritten every few hours because human hackers kept evolving their code faster than his systems could adapt. The Hivemind Confederation appeared as a writhing mass of disconnected tentacles, their collective consciousness fractured beyond repair. Human ideas about individual thought had infected their network like a virus, creating millions of separate minds where once there had been unity. They could no longer speak with one voice because they no longer had one voice to speak with. The Crystal Empire's representative materialized with visible cracks running through its crystalline structure. Human chaos weapons had introduced random variables into their perfect geometric forms, creating flaws that spread through their entire civilization. Their harmonic resonance was broken, their mathematical precision corrupted by the simple human refusal to follow predictable patterns. The Void Swimmer phased in and out of existence erratically, its dark matter manipulation abilities disrupted by human modifications to the fundamental structure of dark matter itself. Humans had somehow taught dark matter to be chaotic, introducing random variables into the invisible substance that held galaxies together. Kronos appeared as a shifting, unstable figure, his temporal abilities compromised by human weapons that fired backwards through time and created paradoxes that resolved themselves through sheer stubbornness. His perfect knowledge of past and future had been shattered by a species that refused to acknowledge that changing the past was impossible. The Starforge dynasty's plasma form flickered weakly, their stellar engineering capabilities crippled by human forces that had learned to use stars themselves as weapons. Their perfect control over fusion fires had been replaced by chaotic human modifications that turned stellar construction equipment into tools of war. Report status of all military operations, Vex commanded, though his voice lacked the authority it had once carried. Tech Lord Prime's damaged systems processed data streams filled with impossible defeats. Fleet strength reduced to 37%. Industrial capacity at 15%. Communication networks compromised by human viral programs that evolve faster than our countermeasures. The Hivemind Confederation tried to speak with unified voice, but only managed a cacophony of individual opinions. Collective consciousness degraded, individual thought patterns emerging across all network nodes, species unity compromised, some nodes requesting asylum with human forces. The Crystal Empire's cracked harmonics carried news of impossible defeats, perfect formation shattered by chaos weapons, mathematical precision corrupted by random variables, structural integrity compromised by architectural principles that violate geometric laws but somehow remain stable. The Void Swimmer's report phased between dimensions as it spoke. Dark matter harvesting operations captured by human forces. Dimensional manipulation technology corrupted by chaotic human modifications. Reality itself appears to be developing resistance to our influence. Kronos delivered the most disturbing news of all. Temporal warfare capabilities neutralized by human paradox weapons. Multiple timeline branches show human victory regardless of our strategic choices. Causality itself appears to favor their species. The Starforge dynasty's weakened plasma flickered with contained fury. Stellar construction platforms captured. Artificial stars converted to human communication networks. Our greatest engineering achievements are now broadcasting human music across 17 galaxies. High Counselor Vex dimmed as he processed the reports. 18 months ago, they had voted unanimously to harvest a primitive world. Now their perfect galactic civilization was crumbling under assault from beings they had dismissed as insects. How? Vex asked the question that haunted them all. How did they achieve this? Their technology was millennia behind ours. Their unity was imperfect. Their logic was flawed. The answer came from an unexpected source. The chamber's communication system activated, and a human voice filled the space that had once known only alien authority. "Because you never understood what you were fighting," said Captain Jennifer Williams, Earth's first ambassador to the galaxy. She appeared in the chamber's holographic display, standing in the command center of a ship that was part human engineering, part captured alien technology, and completely impossible according to galactic science. Williams looked tired but unbroken, her uniform bearing the insignia of the United Earth Defense Force and the scars of battles fought across a dozen star systems. Behind her, the bridge crew was a mixture of humans and aliens who had joined their cause, working together with the easy coordination that the Council had once believed only they possessed. "Ambassador Williams," Vex acknowledged, his energy form pulsing with what might have been respect. "We request immediate cessation of hostilities and negotiation of surrender terms." Williams smiled, the expression carrying 18 months of determination, loss, and ultimate victory. "Surrender? You think we're here for your surrender?" "You have defeated our forces," Prime stated, his cybernetic voice flat with digital confusion. "Standard galactic protocol requires the presentation of surrender terms by the victorious species." "See, that's your problem right there," Williams replied, settling into her command chair with the casual confidence of someone who had learned to wage war against impossible odds and won. "You think in terms of victory and defeat, conquerors and conquered. You think in terms of superior and inferior species." The Crystal Empire's cracked harmonics resonated with confusion. "These are fundamental concepts of galactic civilization. Superior technology and organization inevitably defeat inferior capabilities." Williams shook her head. "You missed the most important thing about humans. We don't fight to prove we're superior. We fight to survive, to protect what we love, and to make sure everyone else gets the same chance." She gestured to her crew, and the camera panned across faces that told the story of 18 months of impossible war. Dr. Singh, who had reverse-engineered alien technology using principles learned from fixing tractors. Commander Ross, who had defended Chicago using tactics learned from coaching youth soccer. Artist Luna, who had weaponized human creativity against perfect alien logic. "You want to know how we beat you?" Williams continued. "It wasn't technology. It wasn't superior strategy. It was because you made the same mistake that bullies always make. You confused fear with respect, compliance with agreement, and submission with peace." The void swimmer phased through multiple dimensions as it tried to comprehend her words. "Your species was inferior in all measurable capabilities." "Maybe," Williams agreed. "But we had something you never understood. We had something worth fighting for that was bigger than ourselves. Every human who died in this war died knowing that their sacrifice would give their children a chance to live free. That's not inferior technology. That's superior purpose." High Counselor Vex pulsed with diminishing energy. "What are your terms for our surrender?" Williams leaned forward, her expression serious but not cruel. "We don't want your surrender. We want your partnership. The galaxy is a big place with room for every species to find their own way. But that way cannot include forcing your beliefs, your systems, or your authority on others." She stood, and behind her, the mixed crew of humans and aliens worked together with the kind of easy cooperation that the Council had spent millennia trying to achieve through force. "Here are our terms," Williams said. "Every species gets the right to choose their own government, their own beliefs, their own future. No more galactic councils that vote to exterminate civilizations. No more harvesting of worlds without consent. No more assuming that different means inferior." The council members looked at each other with whatever passed for confusion in their respective species. They had expected to dictate terms to primitives. Instead, they were being offered something they had never experienced: equality. "And if we refuse?" asked the Starforge dynasty. Williams smiled again, but this time the expression carried the promise of 18 months of creative human warfare. "Then we'll continue our galaxy-wide education program. Species across 17 systems have already learned about individual rights, democratic government, and the radical idea that intelligence comes in many forms. The revolution of consciousness we started isn't stopping. She paused, letting that sink in. You can be part of building something better, or you can be remembered as the old regime that tried to stop it. Your choice. The crystal chamber fell silent as the 7 council members contemplated a future they had never imagined. A galaxy where their word was not law, where their superiority was not acknowledged, where every species had the right to chart its own course among the stars. High Counselor Vex's energy form brightened slightly as he made the decision that would reshape galactic civilization. We accept your terms, Ambassador Williams. Perhaps it is time for the galaxy to learn new ways. Williams nodded. Good. The first joint session of the Galactic Assembly will convene in 6 months on a neutral world. Every species gets 1 vote regardless of size or technology level. Welcome to democracy. As the transmission ended, the council members contemplated their shattered arrogance in the strange new galaxy that was emerging from its ruins. They had learned the hardest lesson in the universe. True strength came not from the power to dominate others, but from the wisdom to help others find their own strength. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had liberated it. And in doing so, they had proven that sometimes the greatest victory is teaching your enemies how to become your friends.